What's going on, guys? Running it back with another replay for you. We've got the Vampire Coast showing up here. They're going to be taking on the Dawi here, being led by Belgar Ironhammer. Medic and Huntress Himbo being the two players here. Huntress Himbo is just going to jump out here with the Mourngulls, get up on the middle objective, start taking that real quick, but a Vanguard of Rangers and the Ekron's Miners might have something to say about it. They can get in range pretty quickly. They do not know exactly where these guys are, but looks like they are revealed now. Maybe going to be able to get some damage in here. We've got some Dwarf Warriors and a Ranger, all moving up to the number 1 there. Having the great weapons is going to make them a little bit better at killing any depth guard or anything that might try to go in and sweep against Dawi Warriors. If you ever see something like this, you know, not necessarily the worst thing to jump out here with depth guard and try to clear out the Dawi, just because of how efficient those very heavily armored undead warriors are at dealing with these low-tier dwarven infantry. But the AP will definitely help those guys fight back a little bit better. Ironbreakers and Longbeards moving up. Ekron's Miners do get up on the number 2. And looks like Huntress Himbo gonna just move off of the middle objective here with the Mourngulls, get up in the trees, hang out, and wait for the main force to advance. We've got Shade Wraith Gunners in the trees over here. We've got another Deck Gunner, a Carronade with the 9 chevrons, the forbidden chevron text coming in here, giving a big buff to the reload time on this Carronade unit. Normally fires every 22 seconds, firing every 18 seconds now. Definitely going to help with the damage output there, as well as increasing accuracy. Very, very, very significant accuracy buffs, and actually landing some good shots on the Ekron's Miners, picking off a few models. Nothing too catastrophic for the Dawi here, who are moving some Dwarf Warriors, and getting up on the number 3 objective as well, with some Gyrocopters moving up to support, and Rangers hiding in the woods, looking for an opportunity to get some damage. Grudge Throwers are out here as well. They're posting up. They've got their AP missiles here. They don't have great targets to fire at. Maybe. Looks like they're firing. Yeah, they are firing at the Lamprey's Revenge here, trying to get some damage done, but actually the first big loss of the game looking like it's going to be these Gyrocopters moving up a little too incautiously. And the Shade Wraith Gunners being very patient and waiting until they get within danger close range, focusing down with the Deck Gunners and the Shade Wraith Gunners, as well as the Carronade. A Carronade actually hitting a Gyrocopter on the way out. They actually do shatter them off the field. Big catch in the early going for the Vampire Coast. And back here, on the number 1 objective, where this big Dwarven Vanguard was moving up, we do have the Night Terrors with some Fellbats, actually, diving on top of the Dwarf Warriors. This is going to be a really nice combat for the Vampire Coast out here. Not a lot of Dawi reinforcements to help these guys. This is a very isolated pocket here. And with the Night Terrors in this position, being supported by some Fellbats who can buffer some of the damage, these guys should be able to absolutely feast out here, getting big damage so far, wrecking one of the Dwarf Warriors here, terrifying, and then breaking them. Fellbat's actually able to chew on the Rangers and break their leadership. Gonna be chasing off not a super expensive unit, but a very powerful unit in this matchup. Rangers with their good range on the bows and with decent AP and missile strength, very capable at chewing up a lot of the Vampire Coast units in this matchup. Mourngulls out here actually jumping on top of the Dwarf Warriors, getting big damage on them. We've got a Terror route going in. You can see the Discourage effect from the Shade Wraith Gunners helping to break the leadership on a fairly healthy Dwarf Warrior unit. One of the many uses of the Shade Wraith Gunners. Just a great ROR, very powerful, and in a very safe position firing out of the woods here. Artillery can't quite hit them in this position. They're a little bit too safe from the tree cover. And they can actually fire out of here pretty decently. Some of their shots hitting trees right now. Not getting as good a value as they could possibly be getting, but still doing very nicely for themselves. Giving the Vampire Coast a very secure hold over the number 3 objective here so far. Zombie Pirate deckhand mobs do move up into the trees, and the Rangers are kiting back now. That is pretty good play there. You don't really want to get your Rangers tied up in combat with zombies. They really do need to be shooting to get you value. to enable the good trades that you're looking for to get through the undead here. So nice damage in the early going for both sides, pretty even on value. Gyrocopter, a fresh one, does come out, gets a really nice bombing run off on the deckhand mobs, just bombing them into oblivion, destroying 2 of these deckhand mobs quite nicely for the Dawi. Helping these Rangers out a little bit, but the Rangers do still have to kite back. They are running, but some Miners with blasting charges should be able to peel for them. In the middle objective here, we've got Belagar Ironhammer helping out these Iron Breakers. Very fun duo here. Belagar with his nice buffs that he can provide with the Oath Stone. And, well, it doesn't actually look like he's got some of the other abilities, but Mighty Oath Stone giving them the expert charge defense and melee defense, definitely going to help these guys out to hold the line while they're trying to hold up a very dangerous Arwar in the Lamprey's Revenge, who are very difficult to deal with if you don't have hard-hitting AP. There are bolt throwers on the field, but the bolt throwers are targeting the Mournguls instead. Mournguls do pull off of the number 3 objective, and they are moving into the middle, while the Gyrocopters getting absolutely smacked down by the Shade Wraith Gunner and Deck Gunner fire here. Really nice focus from Huntress Himbo so far in those opportunities that he's found at this stage of the game. Night Terrors moving up. They've been doing a really good job of cleaning up on this number 1 objective. They do not hold it, though. Dawi do have it from the Vampire Coast right now. Some Dwarf Warriors just holding in here. Rallied up a little bit and looking to maybe get some work done. Doing their best here. Not having a great opportunity to fight anything of significant value that they can handle. Night Terror's a little bit too much to chew on. The Night Terrors just go right in on top of the Rangers, rolling over these guys, getting big AP attacks in here, clearing them out really nicely. And the Dwarves need some kind... I think a gyro out here would have been a better idea, honestly. I mean, I understand losing that first gyro is a little unavoidable. You didn't realize just how much was over here. You didn't see the Shade Wraith Gunners in the trees. But that second Gyrocopter summon coming right up here, also getting routed off the edge of the map. If you know that's going on, just summon them elsewhere on the field and help clean up against dangerous units like the Night Terrors that can clean out a lot of these infantry. Dawi have been really struggling out here on this flank so far. Don't have a lot to help either. Some Scurvy Dogs moving across the field now. Zami, aka Huntress Himbo, doing a really nice job of supporting a lot of the big monsters. They are taking a bit of a pounding, though. Belagar is in here. He's going to be pretty decent at chewing through the Mournguls. He doesn't have AP, but the Mournguls, having pretty low armor, means that he's still going to get some good damage off on these guys. Gets a big smack in there, kills one of the Mourngul models, and is helping crumble them out now, and good Ranger fire coming in. Absolutely smacking into these Mournguls. This Ranger unit has 1,300 value here. Some Quarrelers with doing decent work as well. Bolt Throwers and the Grudge Thrower. Looks like they're also doing really nicely for themselves. Focus firing the Shade Wraith Gunners with the Grudge Throwers. Nice. Now that they've moved up out of the trees, they're a lot more vulnerable. Medic with some really good targeting there. And staying very close with the Undead. Undead do have the healing, though, so that's going to be stacking up over the course of the game. And all those heals are something that does not get reflected in the damage value here. Looks like a Wind of Death coming down. Really well cast down the line, but didn't get the most damage in the world because of the spell resistance. I don't think it was overcast either. If you're going to use Wind of Death, you really have to overcast it. You just get such a big boost from the overcast in terms of damage output that it's kind of a requirement in my opinion. Otherwise, you're maybe wasting your time using it on Dawi, since they're so good at just lasting through that kind of damage anyways. Night Terrors cleaning up the last of the Dawi Great Weapon Warriors here, and the Scurvy Dogs just going to town on the Rangers, shattering both of the units that were out here. Dwarf Warriors going to be moving up, maybe going to kill these Scurvy Dogs if they don't peel out of there. We'll keep an eye on that, and here in the middle, the Lamprey's Revenge, heal capped. They've done some pretty good work, but they didn't quite get their value back, but soaking up a lot of missile fire from Rangers and Bolt Throwers and a variety of other units. doing a very good job of holding and forcing the Dawi to overcommit to the middle objective, which they were already holding, where they've been struggling a little bit to hold their flanks. This is a very traditional problem for the Dawi. Fighting out on the side objectives very commonly away from the main force that they engage with can tend to be a bit of a struggle for them. That's where the gyrocopters are so valuable, and as I've said, 2 of the gyros have really not performed very well. They've been kind of feeding themselves right up the middle into some very bad positions. And yet again, moving up right out here, although the Shade Wraith Gunners and the Det Gunner here, pretty low on ammo, maybe going to be able to help finish off the Det Gunners and then get into some good combats, but Shade Wraith Gunners and the Det Gunners, very good targeting actually, getting right on top of these guys before they can move up and start doing the damage. A little bit too slow on the micro here for Medic. Medic has really fumbled the bag with the gyros here in this early game, and it's given a lot of room for the Vampire Coast to get in here and make a big difference for their forces, who are really starting to box the Dawi out. We've got Sirens moving way into the backline here. A very slow push from some deckhand mobs, moving up on these Rangers and chasing down these 2 Dwarven units who could rally and get a little bit of damage out here in the late game, potentially. Sirens going after the Master Engineer, trying to lock him in combat and start to do some good damage to him. Oh, mortars coming in, actually landing in and blowing a few of the Sirens up there. Very unfortunate stuff. Depth Guard on the middle objective here. Do get a really nice invo. Good targeted healing there. They've got quite a bit of room on their heal cap. They've got almost 30 models diving in here on top of the Dwarf Warriors. And Belgar Ironhammer doing his best, but getting a little bit of value, but not the most in the world, and his health being as low as it is. Dawi need to be careful not to lose this guy. It could be very devastating for them if they can't hang on to this middle objective and still have the durable leadership from their Lord available to help them out here. Scurvy Dogs looking to get on Quarrelers, but finally a Gyrocopter comes out onto this flank to assist the Dwarves in their push onto the #1 objective here. Night Terrors continuing to rampage through Dawi Warriors aplenty. 217 kills and counting, 1,400 value. Absolutely beautiful play out on this flank by Huntress Himbo, and the Scurvy Dogs all over the Quarrelers. Getting rid of them before the Gyrocopter's able to make the difference here. Does get some good damage on these Scurvy Dogs. Some of the shots missing here, but starting to really roast these guys down. And with that burnt effect that they apply, kind of getting them into crumbling range. Scurvy Dogs have pretty poor leadership. And if they crumble out, then maybe the Night Terrors are going to be next. They don't have a lot of HP left. Don't really have any heal support either. We've got the Fleet Admiral way off in the distance here on the #3, being the only unit holding this objective as well. And looks like the deckhand mobs actually hidden in the trees here. We'll see what they are able to do in the late game here. But getting them up into that tree line and maybe stopping any reinforcements from coming out of the deploy zone here. Just being cheeky and sneaky, I guess. Never a bad thing for the Vampire Coast. And really close on tickets, really close on value still. I do think that the Undead, though, looking pretty well positioned for a late game push here. We've still got a pretty healthy Carronade. Shade Wraith Gunners, they're back here with a couple of volleys left just to discourage some leadership. Actually getting some good shots on the Ekron's Miners here, who are on the verge of breaking, getting blasting charges on top of the Fleet Admiral and actually doing a lot of damage with those. Wowee. Pretty nice for the Dwarves there. Mortars coming in, doing big damage to the Ekron's Miners as well. And there goes another Dawi unit. Just trickling up, fully unsupported in a lot of these circumstances, and not having overlapping fields of fire as the Dawi. Definitely a major pitfall for Medic here. You really do need a very strong objective presence with a good formation to get your Rangers in one row, Dwarf Warriors to hold up in front, and then Artillery back here where they are is a really good position for them, and then Gyros just to sweep back and forth between all of the different points, and just to plug gaps with fire support, basically. As the Dawi, you do always have a mobility disadvantage, but those gyros with their very good damage potential can usually help you peel enough to save your units. Kind of like this, you see the Rangers getting jumped on by Fellbats and some scurvy dogs, but the Brimstone guns have been doing work out here. They've been really helping save the bacon of some of these Dawi units, but yet again, saving a few of the Rangers, but not quite enough DPS in time to do the most work that they possibly can. Maybe they can get rid of the scurvy dogs before the Rangers shatter, but some of the flamethrowers roasting their own guys to death here does shatter the Rangers, and the scurvy dogs jumping on top of the Dwarf Warriors, holding them up here. Night Terrors barely hanging on with 1700 HP, and I think that the Undead are going to be able to take this game here. Sirens coming out and sweeping the backfield a little bit, getting up in the trees where they're safe from these missile units, finishing off some Iron Breakers, and now going to work on killing Belegar. They do have good AP, and they're going to be pretty sticky in here since he doesn't have magical damage. He does have decent enough weapon strength to kill models off of these guys, but it's going to take extra long with the Charmed effect. He actually gets terrified. Oh, no. With him being terrified, they might be able to get enough damage on him to shatter his leadership, in which case, that's going to be it for the Dawi leadership, and they're going to have some serious... I mean, they were already struggling to get up on these objectives. The very, very, very old school problem of the Dawi and Dom rearing its head here and just not being able to get past a lot of the more mobile options that Huntress Himbo has out on the field. A lot of their units trickling up, trying to get on objectives, just not pushing in a solid enough wall. Definitely something that Medic needs to be more responsive to and more cognizant of in the future for sure. But playing pretty nicely up to this point, just being worn down over time by the Undead. Huntress Himbo has done a really great job of just slowly pushing the Dawi back, wave by wave, doing a very nice job with the targeting on a lot of the missile units that were out here, the Shade Wraith Gunners, Det Gunners, Mortar, and the Carronade all doing nicely. Mortar hasn't paid for itself, but those, you know, those kills and that damage that it's been putting in, still got a decent number of volleys. It could still be firing in here, as it is against the Dwarf Warriors, and providing a little bit of incremental value over the course of the rest of the game. But a triple cap coming in, and that is definitely going to be it for the Dwarves. Finally getting up to the number 1, and finally killing the Night Terrors, but some Deckhand mobs and a fresh Mourngul blocking up those Dwarf Warriors on the middle objective. What remains of a Dawi warrior unit intercepted by Mournguls, Deckhand mobs with handguns up here as well, shooting at the gyros. And that's going to be it for the Dawi. Very well played from the Vampire Coast here. Dawi, like I said, I hate to harp on it, but you've really got to push in a solid block with these guys. Now that gyros are a little bit more balanced, and they don't have that fire at will or not the fire at will, but fire while on the move profile. They're just not quite as strong as they used to be. They are still very powerful, but with the weapon strength debuffs on their missiles, and not being able to just continuously fire on the move and terrorize everything in their path, Dawi are a much more honest faction now. They play very, very formation heavy. If you can get into a good formation, you can definitely win a lot of games with these guys. They're an excellent faction, but I think a lot of people are going to have to start going back to the drawing board on how they handle these engagements. Good value on the Grudge Throwers and the Bolt Thrower here. One Ranger getting 1600 value, beautiful stuff. Not too hot on the other Rangers. They kind of got chewed on by the Scurvy Dogs. Didn't have enough protection either. That's what I'm talking about with playing in those more concentric formations where they can all support one another with their crossbow fire and have the gyros stay a little bit safer flying overhead with the support of the Rangers who can shoot off the Fellbats or any other big scary targets that might be coming out trying to deal with them. Good value on the Shade Wraiths and Det Gunners. Carronade did nicely. Mournguls did okay. Lamprey's Revenge did alright as well. Good value on the Sirens. Sirens are a great unit against dwarves, and I really love the addition of them in this army. They've got the terror profile. They've got Charmed to debuff the already low melee attack of a lot of the Dawi units, helping keep them off of objectives extra long while they're being handled by range shooting or whatever the Dawi can get up on them. Dawi lacking a lot of magical damage options, kind of making it difficult to deal with this unit. Depth Guard did well on that middle objective, and I think I'm going to call it here, folks. I hope y'all enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you on the next one. GG's. Peace.